Hey everybody, welcome from the lovely fireside room in Grandview Hall. I just wanted to give you a quick little introduction to the next series of videos. It's an interesting topic that we're about to get into that has to do with our lives more than we probably care to admit. I think a lot of us think we're in control of a lot of our lives, when the truth is we can guide our lives in a lot of ways, but there are a lot of things that are operating kind of outside of our control. Now that doesn't mean that we're at the mercy of them. It means that we need to learn how to measure them. So I'm going to give you an example before we get into some die rolling. Years ago at the OCC, the college offered us a new kind of health insurance plan called a high deductible healthcare plan. Okay? Now, it's not important to know exactly how it works, but here's the big idea. You've got really two types of plans for health insurance at our college anyway. You've got what's called the Cadillac plan, and you've got this high deductible healthcare plan. And the Cadillac plan's pretty straightforward. You pay a certain amount of money a month, and then if you have to go to the doctor, you may have a small bit you have to pay at the doctor, but it's very, very little. And then you get your care at the doctor, and the insurance pays the rest. The high deductible plan is similar, except you pay a lot less per month, but when you go to the doctor, you end up paying more at the doctor for the same services you did under the Cadillac plan. So the big idea, the simplest big idea of these two plans, Cadillac plan is you pay a lot per month, but you pay a little at the doctor. High deductible plan, kind of the inverse. You pay a little bit per month, but you pay more when you go to the doctor. This is an oversimplification, but it'll do for the purposes of what we're talking about here. Now, when this was offered to us, this is about 10 years ago, I think it was offered to us, I approached some of my colleagues and I said, hey, who's doing this? And they said, are you crazy? I can't afford those copays being what you have to pay when you go to the doctor. And I said, okay, I probably can't afford those high deductible copays either. And my colleague said, well then why are you going to sign up for this plan? And I said, well, have you ever looked at how often you go to the doctor? And compare that to how much money you're spending on the Cadillac plan, money that you don't get back. And I could see that they were kind of scratching their heads thinking about that. Because here's the deal. For the Cadillac plan, you're paying a lot more than for the high deductible plan. Okay, it's like it still is about 10 times as much. However, that money, if you don't use the insurance, the money you pay into it is gone. It's like having car insurance and never getting into an accident. I mean, you insure the car because you have to. But if you never get into an accident, that money just goes into a pool that then gets used by the insurance company to pay other claims. So with the high deductible plan, it's pretty clear that I'm going to pay 10 times less per year into the health insurance plan. That's a given. If this is X that I pay per month, this is 1/10 of X. But here's the fun thing, the risk part, the part you're not sure about, the part that my colleagues were unsure about. When you go to the doctor, well, I would phrase that as if you go to the doctor, or how frequently you go to the doctor. Because here's the deal, I was able to go back and look at 15 years of my wife and I's health insurance bills, and I was able to get a pretty good idea of how often we were going to the doctor. I'm not talking about for checkups. Checkups are generally covered at 100% no matter what health insurance plans you have. I'm talking about things like when I had a hernia that got infected, or when Jen broke her nose kayaking. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Those things that happen as a part of your life that you're not expecting. And I was able to conclude after looking at those that they don't happen frequently enough for us to worry about it for the high deductible plan. So 10 years ago, we started into the high deductible plan and started saving all that extra money that we would have spent on monthly costs over here for the Cadillac plan. And that money goes now into a savings account. So, looking down the pike when Max breaks a leg, which I'm sure is happening at some point, or when we have to go to the ER for him, which just happened about 3 months ago for a little thing that got stuck in his eye, we're okay because they don't happen with the regularity that would warrant the Cadillac plan. I'm not saying everybody should sign up for this high medical plan. I'm saying you need to evaluate your risk. And evaluating that risk sometimes is as simple as rolling a die. So let's see the connection between rolling a die, how I was able to evaluate my risk, and see how it all ties together.